What's going on, YouTube? We're going to be doing another episode of our weekly versus series where we're going to be playing a game, just a quick what best of one against one of our friends, and just kind of give you guys some quick content with a little bit of my thought process over the top of it. It's going to be me playing Toga and my buddy Brad Townsley playing Eraserhead. I think that this matchup is pretty skill intensive, actually. I don't think that it favors one way or the other, which I think is a lot of the matchups that Toga has currently in the meta. Ideally, like as with most games, a four build is a perfect start for us. Cards that we're definitely looking for. We want to see our draw cards against Eraserhead, so getting a copy of Excited for Blood early is huge. Just because if we don't see it, he is going to be able to like out tempo us through his card quality. We kind of want to just keep a good race of cards in hand because he will be drawing through his attacks. So we want to be sure that we can also draw through our attacks. Brad got some pretty good build there. A five build, a couple of manly passionate guys makes his blocking strings very strong into us. Manly passionate guy huge in the matchup. It makes blocking basically like a no cost, especially with playing a Razorhead. You're going to get to reduce the speed for free, block with one of your foundations, and get just a huge value out of it. Ideally, as Toga, we're looking for another build here. Um, as you can see, like this is not the greatest situation, right? We checked three on the back alley haymaker, and we found our discard pile. There were no zero diffs in there, so we are looking to just straight draw with this. We do get the ability to draw two free ones off of haymaker, and then also excited for blood, and then we're gonna get a filter with Toga in as well, which is pretty big. Brad's going to do a lot of not moving the life when I use Toga, and I think that's just strictly a like, you're going to gain life back anyway kind of thing, which is totally fine. Um, yeah, so he gets a pretty easy block here. It's breaker one. We're just gonna, I mean, we just drawing cards. We're doing this specifically to draw cards. He puts me up to 19, which is incorrect. I should be at 18 after Excited for Blood, and I reminded him that pretty quickly. I'm like, hey man, that's not right. That's the wrong life total. But yeah, after that, so we still have like a million cards in hand, obviously, because of just the nature of how we played out this turn. We want to get into not necessarily a build like battle against the Eraserhead, because Eraserhead does have the ability to like slam huge builds like on top of each other, and that is not necessarily good for us. Um, but we do want to keep tempo because he is, for the most part, like a character that just builds heavy, right? So you don't want to get behind on the build by just going on attacks on turn two. You do want to get like a matched tempo of foundations. Brad also going in with the build. Learning the standards is pretty good in this matchup just because I do play create capturing net. So either I have to, if I lead in with capturing net and I try to build something down, he can flip it. But conversely, you can try and it's one of those fun cards in the matchup for sure, where it has interactions back and forth. Because if I attack him with something, he learning the standards, I build a foundation, play capturing that, then I can build it down. Or it could go the other way, where I have to play capturing that early and build something down, and that can lead to a flip. So both ways, it has play in both fields. It's actually pretty nice. This is going to be probably one of the better examples, I'd say, of a game that has like a lot of uh, back and forth to it. We pretty much just build a bunch, but you're gonna get a good like example of what like solid attack turns are gonna end up looking like. Because as you can see on my board, I have passing the torch, I have excited for blood. So my game plan is going to be drawing a million cards, and that is kind of what I think the matchup does boil down to is who can see the most cards consistently. Um, because if a Razorhead is able to get like a big draw off of or like keep his cards while playing cards, he's then able to actually aggressively like erase Toga. But if he doesn't get the card draw off, he's really can't do that at all. His ability to stop Toga becomes like very negligible at best. we both have a we both have a pretty long game of like not seeing any foundations and or any attacks, and it gets pretty dicey back and forth. But I do think the defensive play on both ends is pretty stellar. So I did want to showcase that this game is pretty good for that. Like there are going to be a few attacks that both players choose not to block, and that's going to be like the big telling tale of the game. But it's not like the be all end all. And we check back to back attacks. We have to point it out to our opponent to make sure they understand that we checked back to back attacks, or else it's not fun. Right now we're at exactly 10 cards, so we're kind of skirting his deadlock. And we mostly play this to execute a pretty decently sized draw. Because, yeah, we want cards. We want cards and we don't care who knows. He minuses 2 speed, picking up the erase. My thought process going into this too was I should keep myself at 10 or pretty close to 10. So I do believe I destroy this tight lipped just because, like, there's no reason not to. Very, very slow capturing that. There's the pass and a torch to draw. I wish I could put this at like 1 times or 1.5 speed, but this is the way we're doing it for now. Once I figure out how to do this a little bit better, I think we will start to do it that way. But for now, this is just kind of what we get. Most of Void's deadlock options are basically to make your opponent discard cards or like build in cards. So it's better for us to be drawing a billion, especially if we know we're going to have to go into or near deadlock. Um, Plus, it gives us the ability to actually block some of his moves because they are going to be extremely fast. Here's a learning the standards play. So he's forcing me to play Foundation next, which I happily oblige him. I let him do his move first, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter realistically. He's like, oh yeah. We're pitching the face shields because they don't do too terribly much. Like they're good to kind of slow down the acceleration kick turn, but I don't particularly find them to be the most valuable. Did we just build one pass? Are we actually that guy? Are we that kind of gamer today? There's no way. Build one pass holds 700. Oh, I am the guy. I think I have actually 6 cards in my hand. Which is fucked up. That's a lot of cards. The As the game goes on like this, though, it is incredibly beneficial for the Toga and life decks in general, in my opinion, in this matchup particularly. They have Toga has a lot of answers to the specific matchup, be it by speed, because if I can get copies of like someone with style out to ready themselves or encouraging training partners or releases, it makes blocking the moves that are are normally very very fast. It makes it blocking them like incredibly easy, which is obviously what we want to see in this particular matchup is very easy blocking. Classic eraser head gamer discarding erase to pick up erase, and then we get a very easy block. Wire Arrow is an excellent block. We love having it in the deck, just because that +1 high is just so good. Oh no! Airstream Driver. That's a gamer card. Airstream Driver kicking out our Wire Arrow. We destroy our high value target and put it into a fucking discard pile upside down like some kind of weirdo, but it is what it is. wall cling to make sure we can block because we don't have another high block. If we had another high block, the wall cling is obviously just super irrelevant. And encouraging trading partner to make it a 4-speed move while also flipping cards for if we do eventually draw Frog Lashing. We check Alleyway Ambush, which is some kind of spicy tech I'm trying out. It's just like a really neat one of to see what you can do to do with it, right? Because sometimes Toga's attack turns are like very long strings. And I kind of like the idea of an Alleyway Ambush to make those strings a little bit easier, make the lines a little tighter. Brad builds a tape, so he's got double tape, double gotcha, a bunch of other shit, double manly passionate guy. And eventually the game gets to a point where we do draw attacks and we start swinging, but for now it's just like kind of a little bit of a weird poke off, like a little tit for tat, poke here, poke there kind of thing, which is great. That's the kind of game that Toga I think excels in is a slower game where you can just poke back and forth. We add a card. He erases for the grand minusing of all time. We use our Toga for +1 speed. And then we start our card drawing again because that is important. We need to be drawing these cards. The more we draw, the better. The more we draw, the better we feel. Very, very easy block for our opponent. +1 low block on the Airstream driver. And he's going to activate the villain's defeated at some point here. And remove our tongue whip. Which is great. Clears our card pull up, makes it a little bit easier for us to play cards. We do pitch a passing the torch, which is fine. I think you only ever need one in the matchup just to get like the extra bonus of like one card. I think that's perfect. Get our back alley haymaker in, which is great because it's gonna be able to build us in a release. We love release. We want release to be on our board at all times. When it's not there, we're sad. Oh no, fruits of our labor. When he did that play in on live with me, I just forgot he had two cards in his card pool, and I was like, why did he do that? I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But no, that's a great play from him. Honestly, you get to clear out the tongue whip card and the block, making blocking this like pretty much a guaranteed. I mean, it was pretty guaranteed anyway, right? Through tapes and Eraserhead, he could have made it like the slowest attack of all time. Oh, we don't build in release here, do we? We just drew a card. Huh. I think it's a little bold, but it is the play we chose to make. The card excited for blood because there is such thing as too much of a good thing. Count our 10 foundations. Try and keep ourselves around 12 at maximum. Regional excited for bloods gamer. Just kidding. There's only one in the deck. One regional because we are fucking not blessed by the gods to get multiples. I choose to take that momentum. Don't know why I threw it into discard pile. Would be a bad play if I didn't take momentum there. So we're at 12 foundations. We have 3 solo styles and 1 release, so we could pretty much always get out of deadlock. That wouldn't be an issue at all. Yeah, so Brad being at 10 here makes the situation even more dire because it's like if he keeps building, eventually we find deadlock options that we have. And obviously he's not pressuring me in any sort of way, which makes it really tough for him. The good news for him is that we held probably, I think we held 4 or 5 foundations there, so we're not exactly drawing gas. We're not drawing the heat, but we have drawn back alley haymaker every single game until the end of time. He never chooses to respond or race, which on those early turns may have been beneficial to him, just because it was very clear that I am fishing for like bigger builds, right? I am very clearly fishing for um, cards. Like I'm drawing on it, and on basically everything I do, right? And he goes for the block with the erase, easy block. Takes his one. I respond Toga. I respond excited for blood then Toga. And I'm at 18 again, which he just refuses to keep track of. All right, like he absolutely just will not do it. He just it's not allowed. That is gone. And I believe we just slapped down some foundations. Call her a day. This is going to be probably on the upper sides of what I will be recording for content for videos. This game is probably like 20, 25 minutes long or so. And that's probably about as long as I really want to have these individual weekly games go because I think that there is a service to provide when you are making such videos as this. And I don't think that people necessarily want to sit through an hour long game, but they might want to sit through a 25-minute match. Or, sorry, an hour long match, but might want to sit through a 25-minute game where there is good players playing against each other, making actual like decisions and such. And I'm very like, unfortunately, I didn't get to play game three against Brad here. He beat me game one, and I beat him in this game. But he does leave a little bit before I get to play game three against him because he does have to go to Abe. You know, fucking Fourth of July thing. But yeah, this is an example of a very fun turn, in my opinion, because he does eventually start to aggress, and I think that that is like exactly what we're like. That's what you're looking for, right? You want to watch your opponents, like you want to watch games where people are aggressing on both sides. We take a quick four because blocking rebound sidekick is actually trolling. And yeah, it makes me discard a card with the Taiyaki. We pitch our +3 block because what are we going to do with it? Hey, he does have the advantage of we are in deadlock, right? So he can still use his Night Watch if he really wants it. I blow stuff up with release because I'm trying to get a little bit below the number of cards because I don't particularly want to get deadlocked out of the game. I probably should destroy just the Summoner style here as opposed to anything else, but I think I opt for a different play. Yeah, we opt for that play just because we do have the Trey Sheet Cape to make some kind of cool plays here. We could actually even do the tight lipped to flip over the Summo style after we re-ready it. I know we don't do that. I'm I'm positive we don't do that. Let's see. I'm gonna hit the. I was gonna say I'll skip forward, but that's a 30-second skip. That sounds awful. So we're just gonna let her play out. Get a quick shuffle. See what our RFG gets us. He uses Night Watch to pick back up the binding kick. He's gonna slam it down again while I'm removing cards. So fortunately, we're still in a situation where he is looking for a good aggression here, which is great. Honestly, like this is the type of game, like I said, you want to see when like it feels good to even to get to play the game. I've had a lot of games where it's like one sided on both sides, and that feels awful or great depending on like what side you're on. But this is just like two decks going back and forth. The Eraserhead getting to a point where he can draw that string of attacks to actually try and go for like a win, and that's like, I mean, obviously that's when Eraserhead's at his best, right? when he gets the big strings, when he finds like the five attack hands and the acceleration kicks and all that good stuff. And when he's checking the erases so he can keep picking them up, that is definitely not bad. He does the random discard on acceleration kick, hits our high block. Normally I would be like, all right, opponent, roll a dice, but Brad was pretty non-caring about it all. And here come the biggest recipro acceleration kicks of all time for 8 damage currently. He mismarks it and puts it as 9. I explained to him, hey, that's not how that works. That's definitely an 8 damage move. You can see his dog's paws. Love that. Dog got a big stretch right next to the camera. Like right next to Brad in his overalls. But yeah, I mean this is like the pretty standard eraser headline, right? Where they go for a big kick, like you kick, acceleration, clear card pool, then keep going gas from there. That's like the ideal, right? You go like reciprocal acceleration, then you get to fucking juice your card pool back up, do it again. We blocked this guy on like a more billion or some shit. I actually am pretty sure I make this game needlessly hard also. Like I just don't play to ready any of my summon with styles for no discernible reason. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm like the worst player of all time. I'm like, what? What? You just didn't do any of those things? Has 20 summon with styles, does not use them. Phil Birch, missed player of the century. What happens here is I just take it back. I'm like, I would like to use Tracy Cape, please. And he goes, all right, that's fine. Joke's on you, Phil. If you want to do Tracy Cape, you don't get to use your self sacrifice. Yeah, he ends up stealing self sacrifice there. I think. Yeah. He steals self sacrifice. This gets removed from the game. And we got some cool stuff. This isn't quite for lethal. It's gonna, it's gonna be fucking fast, obviously, but not for lethal. So we're still vibing. We're still vibing. He goes to find the last copy of Erase because he has used all of the other ones in the entire world this turn. So if we do survive, even if we do survive this turn and don't draw a backswing, we certainly get to live by virtue of the like him having no more erases, right? Draws his last two cards, looking for more attacks, which I think he could have also done on the previous erase, probably for better odds. Like if he does it on the previous erase, I think it's probably more valuable, even though he can't pick up the last erase. Well, I guess it depends on if he knew how many attacks were left in his deck. He removes actually 80 attacks from this, I'm pretty sure, even though you can't see from glare. It's like 5 or 6, I think. Well, maybe it's like 7, which means he's down like 10 attacks already. Gets his extend, gets to draw off of the extend. Now I'm sitting here like, oh no, if he draws rebound sidekick, I just die. That'll be so fucking sad. We check our alleyway ambush and get very sad. But we have on breaker 1, so plays it on a 6, checks a 5, would be a 4, 5, 6. Yeah, he could have passed it still. All right. He builds one, and I basically just am like, hey man, this is game. I I like show him the grip I have or like the play I have, and he's just dead to it because he has no races. Because my hand isn't all particularly good. It ends up being frog lashing plus electromagnetic stomp, but because of the Treshik cape, we can do some cool stuff. What ends up being is it's frog lashing. Yeah, so I could go frog lashing, Tracy Cape, pick up frog lashing, then I can observant student to grab the other frog lashing, and he only has one block. So, yep, that's GG right there, man. Sometimes it's not really about the offensive output you can put out into your opponent, but the defensive like play you can play into him, right? If you're able to hold off your opponent's strongest turn, their big kill turn, then you are able to really punish them on your backswing, right? We didn't necessarily get to punish him on the backswing there because we didn't really need to because of the resources he put into his turn. But overall, that's pretty much like what you're looking for on a solid defensive turn. That's why I think the life decks strive with is like they are capable of blocking so much better than a lot of the decks in the format, and their boards are just so versatile. They have so much they can do with them. They can keep themselves out of deadlock really easily. You could jump 50 cards into deadlock and be fine. Like it just is such a strong deck to look at. Um, but yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Hopefully you enjoy the series. Be sure to like, be sure to follow, be sure to comment, subscribe, hit the notifications, leave comments, comments. I want to know what I can and cannot be doing in these, or what I can be doing better and what I am doing fine in these videos. And but yeah, thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. And I'll be sure to get out you some more content for the holiday week. Peace, dudes.